Welcome back to the Mount Rushmore Wrestling Podcast. We are episode 14, so moving right along. We had a great Revolution Review episode with our last trivia. Tonight is going to be more of a news, raw review. We're going to do a few different things. So we'll be talking a lot about different stuff. We're going to change it up a little bit for the On This Day. So the On This Day for me, I'm going to actually play a promo from 25 years ago on Monday Night Raw between Stone Cold and Vince McMahon. And to give you some context, obviously Austin and McMahon were feuding a lot back in this time. And it was about Mike Tyson as part of it. So let's have a listen and we'll react live.
All I was doing was backstage and you're trying to provoke me. Well, that's exactly what you did. But as you can see, I am a little pissed off.
Steve.
One wasn't.
True.
It was just a figure of speech. Baddest man on the planet is a figure of speech.
This is a figure of speech right here.
Again, we apologize, folks.
Jim Ross.
JR, the commentary.
Let's face it, Vince. You don't want to see me be the WWF champion, do you?
He's wearing a fanny pack, too.
Do you?
Do you? I'm asking you a question.
What?
Let me ask you this, Vince. If you want me to be the WWF champion, give me a hell yeah.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to give me a hell yeah?
You heard what they said?
I'm asking for you to give me the hell yeah, Mark. No, you haven't. There ain't but one thing left for you and me.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
We've been talking for the last time, Vince. It's you and me. It's Austin McMahon. I'm giving you the first shot, so give me your best shot, because if I hit you first, you're going to be laying on that damn mat in a heat. So give me your best shot.
This is ridiculous.
Give me your best shot right there. Now, go ahead and hit me. I'm not looking. Blindside me.
Austin's a heartbeat away
Show
from
some
explosion.
guts, you yellow bastard. Hit me. Do something. You going to hit me or not?
He is out of
Will you
control.
fire me? Hell no, you ain't gonna fire Stone Cold. I'll give you 10 seconds. If you ain't gonna hit me, just take your yellow, rotten, stinking carcass up that damn ramp and get out of my face, because I had about enough of you.
Austin's making a big mistake. He does not need ribs. He is so indignant. I think Vince might be his enemy already. How embarrassing.
How embarrassing.
Austin is
What are you
definitely
gonna do about it? Find me?
He ripped his suit.
Either hit me or get your ass up.
Classic
That was a
Stone
good
Cold.
one.
Like Stone Cold
Honest,
Steve Austin.
Oh, God, yeah. The promos back then were absolutely fantastic. So I'm happy we mixed it up, too. We're going to kind of do that mixing in, too, to share some promos, some of our favorites. That just kind of came up. But if we ever get some on this day that we share promos, those would be pretty good. We can't share the video, obviously, but we can at least hear the audio, so that's pretty cool. So plenty of, and just to kind of jump into that too, a lot of the promos, just off the top of your head, guys, what are some of the best promos? We usually watch a lot together. One that really comes to mind, one of my favorites is Vince and Shane in the church. We watched that one a decent amount. God, Vince McMahon in that one was just too much. But it was when they were feuding with Shawn Michaels, so it was absolute riot. But he imitates Triple H. He does the water. He's like, Shano, who am I?
Shano, who am I?
Who am I?
But yeah, what are you
Oh,
guys'
wait.
some of the favorites?
Hey, might need one of these. Cash only. Cash only.
Yeah, what kind of establishment are you running here?
I like.
So for me,
go ahead.
one of them I would say is John Cena and Kurt Angle during the battle rap when Kurt was feuding with Big Show and Brock Lesnar, and they come out there and Cena's rapping on Kurt like he always does. And then Kurt Angle's like, well, I'm willing to go out there if I'm willing to try. All right. And then he brings along the referee to do the beatbox, in which he was a masterclass at. He perfected it. He goes out there. He gives Kurt a nice little beatbox and beat. Kurt goes with the rhythm. He takes Cena's hat, puts it sideways, Name's Kurt Angle, and what the heck? I want to go metal with a broken freaking neck. The crowd goes wild, and the humorous side of Kurt Angle just never fails to amaze me with him. So that's one of my favorite ones. Another one I would say is Edge and Cena. So do you remember the episode of Raw when the lights went out? And Cena goes out there, the lights come back on. Edge like hightails it. So Cena starts calling out Lita. They're in JR's hometown of Oklahoma. So Cena starts making football references about Lita's vagina to goad him out there. And Edge is going back and forth with them. And then Lita's like, hell, I'm a better wrestler than you are. And then Cena ends it with, Lita, I applaud you. After years of being together, it's finally nice to know that you held the balls in this couple. And Cena ended up facing Lita with one arm tied behind his back that night. So those are two that come to mind.
One of my absolute favorites, sticking with Vince McMahon, was actually after a Monday Night Raw. So it wasn't live. It wasn't televised. But it was when a bunch of superstars were trying to get The Undertaker to do the Spinneroonie. And
yes.
Vince came out and did it, and it was just hilarious. Another one with Vince was a recent one. When Seth Rollins went to the headquarters, thinking he was getting fired, and Vince was just sitting there. You should have come to me. You can have a match at WrestleMania against my handpicked opponent. It was just so funny. It was anything with Vince is perfect.
And he barely had to talk during that.
He didn't have to talk at all. You couldn't even hear him half the time.
Yeah. And another one that rings the bell for me is the Stone Cold CEO. We watched that one quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
When Stone Cold takes over WWE headquarters. So it's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
But, those are some that kind of come to mind. So that was cool. So we do have a lot of news this week in terms of what's going on in wrestling. I'll jump to this first. We are in WrestleMania season. It's not necessarily what I'm interested in hearing right now. So apparently the rumor right now is Triple H is stacking WrestleMania 40. What else are they going to say? We haven't even got all the matches for WrestleMania 39. So, let's just worry about this WrestleMania first before we worry about WrestleMania 40. First of all, for my wallet purposes. So if we do go again next year, we'll be driving there in Philly instead of flying. So I'll save us some money. But, who knows? Is it going to be Rock Roman next year? I don't know. I'll believe that shit when I see it because Rock will probably be busy again. But thoughts on that, guys? I mean, I'm trying to just get through WrestleMania 39 for now.
Yeah, I think that they're jumping the gun really quick on this one because you can't look ahead on a Mania that hasn't even taken place for the previous one yet. And the fact that they haven't even finished the current WrestleMania card, and the fact that you can't predict the future as far as are some of these superstars going to retire, their injuries that are going to happen, do they want to switch and go to AEW, vice versa? I think it's definitely a publicity stunt to draw some more viewers for this Mania because they're already teasing Rock. He's like, I'll be open to facing Roman at 40. Just like he said he was ready. He's going to skip on 38 and be ready for 39 in Hollywood. And sure enough, he's not in ring shape. Yeah. So, and I think with Rock and Roman anyway, that ship is kind of sailed at this point. If they were going to do it, this was a perfect year for it. Fortunately, we're not going to get it. Is there going to be an appearance from one maybe at the end of the main event? Possibly. I'll maybe put a 10% chance on it. But at this point, I'm just going into the 39 expecting that we're not going to see him or Stone Cold and just focus on the current roster at the moment. But as far as 40 goes, let's play out 39 and then look ahead afterwards.
Two things that I want to say about this. One, I don't want to get my hopes up that WrestleMania 40 is actually stacked. Because what does stacked mean to Triple H? Because we thought 39 was going to be stacked. Yeah. The second thing I want to say is that scares me that they're not putting their all into this WrestleMania season.
Correct.
And I think looking at weekly television on Raw and SmackDown is just proving our point that I don't want to say Triple H is giving up on this WrestleMania season, but it's not turning out how he wanted it to be. Yeah. And I can see the same thing happening WrestleMania 40. You don't know what injuries are going to happen. You don't know who's actually going to say yes to come back and have a match if it's The Rock or Stone Cold or whoever. So, those two things are the thoughts in my head when I heard that he wants to stack WrestleMania 40. It's so far away. We always hear early predictions for WrestleManias, but to hear it from the person who's in charge of creative That's a lot different than hearing it from other people in the community. So those are the two things that came to my head when I first heard it.
I also think this
Yeah.
is something that, WrestleMania plans changed. As of last year, around WrestleMania, right after WrestleMania, they came out with that plan for Ronda Rousey, that 2-year plan, like who she was fighting, basically. So Charlotte and
Yeah.
then Becky. And look what happened.
Yep.
That's not even happening.
She's not even going to have a match.
Exactly. Yeah, she's not even going to be on the friggin' card. So I do think a lot of things can change. I do want them, and don't get me wrong, I do still think WrestleMania 39 is a very good card. There'll be a couple matches, obviously, where we're not as like excited for, but I do think in terms of quality, we'll have a lot of good matches on the card. So I'm excited
Agreed.
for that.
Yeah.
But I do
Yep.
want them to just focus on the now, and I also, it's important. It's important to realize the future and things like that. But also, like, you have a lot of question marks after WrestleMania that people would like to see. Are we going to get a draft? What does that look like? Like, what's the long term booking in terms of a lot of that story? One thing I saw too, which was interesting, and this kind of plays into a few guys that had pretty good Elimination Chamber matches. What's been very interesting is none of them have really been featured since then. So Montez Ford, Johnny Gargano, and Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed is still jobbing, like fighting jobbers on Monday Night Raw and squashing them. So he's in a squash match basically every week.
Yep.
Gargano, when we'll talk about this, is one of the news, and Gargano on NXT this week, which was very, very cool, a very cool storyline moment. He came out, Shawn Michaels introduced him as his, representative to fight Grayson Waller at Stand and Deliver. So that's the second match for that card. That's going to be very, very exciting, a very good match. And also a match that, obviously, before Gargano went out, his whole storyline going out of NXT was Grayson Waller attacking him. And that kind of put him on the shelf for a while. So this is a full circle moment. And again, selfishly, we're very excited. Gargano's my favorite, so I'll be able to see him at Stand and Deliver nice and close. And it'll be a really good match. And I don't think he's going to get on the WrestleMania card. So at least he has a match WrestleMania weekend to make it a little bit more entertaining for him. But even Montez Ford, what has he done since Elimination Chamber? He had such a great Elimination Chamber. My hope is those three guys after WrestleMania, they figure out a nice direction for all three of them, wherever that may be, either on Raw or SmackDown. If one of them moves, so be it. I know there's some things, and the other match for right now for Stand and Deliver that we saw this week confirmed was Carmelo Hayes against Braun Breaker. Carmelo Hayes this past Monday was in a pre-show match for Monday Night Raw, and there was a picture floating around on social media that had him, the Street Profits, Omos, and MVP. I don't know if that's a moving to the future type of thing, if they're going to start a group. But that would be a very interesting new look hurt business. And I think you could do a lot with that. So that would be very interesting if that's the case. And it puts into question in terms of Stand and Deliver who's actually going to win that match. Because if Melo wins, obviously, whoever wins that match is the loser is going to come up to the main roster, right? So it'll be interesting to see what the actual outcome of that match is.
Yeah, and I think as far as that group, if Omos ends up joining that, that's a perfect scenario for him because obviously I think we're all in agreement that Omos as a singles competitor just is not working.
Not that great, yeah.
When he's in a group, like even the tag match with AJ, him and AJ didn't match, but if I think when he's in a faction, it takes a lot of the pressure off of him, but it still gives him like activity and like stuff to do. So that would be a good move if they have Carmelo Hayes called up. I'm excited for either one of them. So whether Carmelo wins or Braun Breaker wins, regardless, whoever the loser is, doesn't matter. I love both guys. So whoever gets called up, I'm going to be excited for because Triple H will definitely have something in store for either one of them.
Yeah, I'm excited for either one of them to get called up too. But I just don't see how Braun Breaker wins this match because he's beaten everybody. Carmelo's the guy that's got to take the title from him. So seeing that picture circulating, hearing he was on a pre-show match, that scares me. Because even though I would be so excited for that group, like I think that would be sick. Hurt Business 2.0, whatever it is.
Very cool.
It would be so cool for all the guys in it. But at the same time, it's like, who's going to beat Braun Breaker in NXT if it's not Carmelo Hayes? They haven't built up anybody as strong as they have Carmelo Hayes. But, I mean, I'm excited for the match. And then back to the Johnny Gargano thing. I mean, they clearly nixed the plans when Ciampa got hurt. They wanted to do DIY as a tag team on the main roster.
Yeah, I think
Ciampa
so.
got hurt.
Yeah.
They don't really have anything in store for Gargano WrestleMania weekend. So what do? They send him back home to
Yeah.
NXT to face the guy who attacked him his last night in NXT. So I think, like Jeremy said, that's a full circle moment.
At least
Johnny
there's a
Gargano,
legitimate story.
right? Like that's long term booking. I don't think they planned on doing that,
Yeah.
but you know,
Yep.
that's like very good on Shawn Michaels' part in NXT, and also Johnny Gargano went on Twitter and he tweeted like "Daddy's home." He was like, as one would say, "Daddy's home," which
Yeah,
is
it's hilarious.
you know a shout out to Tommaso Ciampa, which is very cool as well.
Very, very cool. I think the other piece of this that I want to mention to you guys too and have a chat about is when the guys or gals that get called up recently from NXT, we haven't had that splash like debut or like they get pushed like accelerated from NXT. You know, Gunther was pushed but over a long period of time, right? You know, Finn Balor comes to mind. Like when he debuted, it was such a huge deal. Like I remember the Superstars parted and he came out, and Kevin Owens when he came out and you know pop up powerbomb John Cena and challenged him to a match. Those are some of the impacts that I hope like now that they have some of these really like solidified stars down in NXT, like Braun Breaker or like Carmelo Hayes. You know, if they keep pushing some of the other guys, I want to see them make like an immediate impact and be pushed into a position, not necessarily of power and needing a championship, but, you know, have that immediate impact to make it look like they're a big deal. Because I think they've tried and failed at a couple of those.
Yeah.
And if you're going to call them up, I feel like the best route is to put them in like a faction. Because if you look, for example, look at Judgment Day. When Finn was a babyface, like Smiley Finn, there wasn't really anything for him. And then when Rhea was in singles competitor, she was absolutely ice cold. As soon as they formed Judgment Day, with Edge's help, of course, forming it, they're one of the biggest things. They're probably the second biggest faction going outside of Bloodline. So little stuff like that, if they just form together, like Johnny Gargano, once Ciampa comes back DIY, that's going to be a good start for him. Even though Johnny Gargano did get a victory over Finn Balor on Raw in an excellent match, due to even though his Edge's interference had helped him out, but that match definitely delivered. That's quality matches, which he always does because Johnny Gargano. So, but they'll find room to like build up in his. I trust Triple H as far as his creative mind.
I trust Triple H too, and like it's really too bad though because when NXT was at its best, they had Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Velveteen. I hate to bring him up, but Velveteen Dream.
We are big Dream fans here in terms of
Aleister Black.
Character.
Yeah,
they had any 5 of those guys could have been pushed right away if they were brought up to the main roster. Matt Riddle.
You have Riddle. Yep, Riddle.
They had so many guys back then that could
Ricochet.
Yeah,
Ricochet. Like they could have been pushed like Finn Balor.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
I don't know if anybody will ever be pushed as fast as Finn Balor was.
That's true.
In 2017, 2018, whatever year it was. The guys that they have now, like, I can see Braun Breaker getting pushed, but in ring, he's not as good as any of those 6-7 guys that we just listed. Carmelo Hayes definitely is.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I'm not going to say that NXT can't go back to that and like, you know, build guys like that.
I think they're starting to.
Right. I think they're on the right track of doing that. They have the pieces that they need. So
I'll tell you, the women's division has never looked better for NXT.
That's a fact.
That's true. They do build their women like really. They have a big crop of talent for women.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the other thing with the NXT pipeline is that, you know, Shawn Michaels was given something that was like, okay, make something out of nothing now. Now all these pieces got taken away. You know, he kind of had to like really like, okay, shit, I got to figure out what I have to do now. So they have some guys down there that, you know, there are quality. Yep. I agree though that they may never get someone like as big, but even if it's not someone as big, like Braun Breaker, for example, he still has a lot of like character to shake out. Like he needs more to his character. He's a good wrestler and he's an underrated wrestler, I think, especially for someone his size. But he's someone like his character, like are they just making him a Ryback or a Goldberg type character? Like, I want to see a little bit more from him too, like getting a little bit more into a character development.
Very generic.
Reminds me of Wardlow a little bit character wise.
He reminds me of like the person whose character you create in WWE 2K.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly right. I think so. They can definitely work on him, but if they packaged him in a way that's like very powerful and meaningful, he's someone that could, I think personally, probably could get over with the fans because he's a bigger guy. Not necessarily a ton of charisma, but he can talk on the mic. He's not bad on the mic, and I think people like that his style of wrestling too. Like, not everyone likes like the guys that can flip around and do that. But Breakker is like an athlete, but he's also big, so he can do your power moves too. So I think that will catch on with the fans.
Yeah.
Also, assuming that, like, let's just say Carmelo does beat him and they do call up Braun, assuming we get Roxanne and Cora, does Cora get called up as well along with Breakker at the same time?
It's a possibility.
I don't even know what's going on. So this week on NXT, Roxanne Perez also went down with that injury. Booker T, like, she was hospitalized overnight. We're guessing it's a work, and I think most wrestling fans are saying it's a work. I don't know where it leaves her for Stand and Deliver. My guess is it was Cora Jade, but I mean, what are we, 3 weeks out? So they have 3 weeks to build now to Stand and Deliver. So I guess that's they can.
Time's ticking.
They don't do a ton of like huge enough build in NXT. Like, it's a lot of maybe a couple weeks. So they still have time. We'll see what next week holds for her, but that could be the match, and I think that is the match, unless they do like a rematch with Satomura or something like that. Or it's Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton is, in my opinion,
really good.
I don't think it's good. The more I say it, I think it'll probably be Tiffany Stratton. And what I'm thinking, why they did the angle with Roxanne is, it doesn't make her necessarily look extremely weak if she loses to Tiffany Stratton if she's injured, right? So I think that could come into play if Tiffany Stratton challenges for the belt and wins. It doesn't necessarily hurt Roxanne Perez a ton. So maybe they play off the injury angle for a couple weeks, but Tiffany still challenges for the belt and takes it off her.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what they're going to do, but who knows? I'm a big fan of Tiffany Stratton as well. I think she's got a lot of charisma, and she has the athletic ability. She's probably one of the more complete wrestlers down there in terms of all around for women especially. So that's probably where they're headed. But so that's we did some NXT review just in there. So so you mentioned Johnny Gargano. Let's go back to main roster for a quick news about Mayor Glenn Jacobs. Kane today announced that the rumor is he basically said don't rule out an in-ring return. Anyone interested in seeing Mayor Jacobs, Corporate Kane in the ring at all?
I'll be honest with you. So you're probably just going to think we're all going to be like, oh yeah, who gives a shit? But I do like Kane. I do like Kane, but obviously, do I care about him meaning like a full-on feud? No. If it's just a one-off with somebody, make it entertaining, I'm cool with it because I think he's got one of the best entrances ever.
True.
And I've always been a big fan of Kane, so he'll bring something to the table. He's going to bring eyeballs. Is it going to mean anything? Absolutely not. But I will still be watching.
Yeah, I agree.
I was going to say I shockingly agree with you on that, Sean. I personally would like it too if it's a one-off with like Bray Wyatt. Those are two cool characters I think that have cool promos leading up to maybe, like you said, a one-off. And everybody deserves a retirement match. So even if he wants a retirement match, the guy deserves it. He's given so much to the business. I mean, I'd be fine with it if it's a one-off. That's cool with me.
As long as he doesn't bring his political
we know what
wrestling.
to expect.
Yeah.
We know what to expect with Kane, like wrestling wise. So, it's not going to hurt anybody.
I agree. I think more just personally, I think his leave everything else at the door type of vibe for me with Kane right now because he's just wild out there. So, but yeah, I mean, I'd happily watch a one-off match, even if
only if he's masked.
Bray Wyatt.
Only if he has a mask.
I would like to see a mask as well.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's probably the tease for WrestleMania 40 when they said they're going to stack 40s. That's probably maybe one of the plans,
Not
bringing
a
Kane
Mania.
back.
Absolutely not at a
I was going to
WrestleMania.
say, if it's at a regular pay-per-view,
Yeah.
I guess fine.
Hell no.
That's what I'm a little concerned about. Like, are they going to bring back the old guys? We get Goldberg. That's what they mean by stack the card, the old legends.
Triple
Brothers
H
of
does not
Destruction.
mean that. Maybe Vince does, but holy shit.
Remember, they had meetings every other day or something.
Oh, God.
Well, who knows?
So, sticking with WWE, just switching gears a little bit. I forget which 2 states it was. I think it was Colorado and Michigan or something like that.
Minnesota,
Potentially,
I forget what it was.
Yeah, potentially bringing in betting into WWE. So I have a few thoughts about betting on WWE. First of all, how are you going to protect the results from leaking? So we get plenty of leaks these days, right, about matches and outcomes. And, you know, I did see in the article that Ernst & Young, they want to have, like, the results sent to Ernst & Young so they're, like, solidified and no one can see them. Whatever. Don't get me wrong, I think the other part is, like, I would be very, like, I would probably bet on some matches. But I also am of the thought that is it going to ruin the experience for me in terms of betting on something that, like, you know, I am so invested in. So I don't know. I when I heard this news, I was like, I kind of hope that they don't do it, so I'm not even tempted to even think about it.
Yeah, I got mixed reviews on it too, but I am leaning towards very happy about it because if I'm trying to make some quick cash, why not? And all 3 of us are big WWE heads, and we have a good mind and vision of what the results are going to be. However, like to Jeremy's point, though, I also don't like the results leaking. I want to take it back. So I'm not sure if you guys like watch Howard Stern or listen to Howard Stern at all, but there is one episode where one of his co-hosts, Artie, was telling a story on it was like an Ash Wednesday story that there's a guy who was working with a bookie, and there were 2 hockey games that during the day because there are games on at night and during the day. However, the bets came in. He was expecting that they were all going to be at night. However, there were 2 hockey games that already happened. So he ended up betting on 2. He did a 50-time parlay on the 2 games that already happened. So when the bookie found out, he went ballistic. He's like, I'm going to kill this kid. I'm going to kill his son, his daughter. So little things like that where it could be a hassle as far as like the regulations and like Jeremy mentioned, the results leaking. That's the only hiccup involved. But overall, though, I'm excited about it.
I think I'd have to make like a pros and cons list to see which way I really sway. But we play the game for every pay-per-view with confidence points. Most of the time we get 5 out of 7 right, 6 out of 7 right. We're gonna win money. Win money. And then the other side is like you said, creative. How are they gonna protect the results not being leaked? Another thing that I think about is, would this do something for WWE viewership in a positive way? Does this bring in people who probably don't give a shit about wrestling, but they're going to bet on it because they know it's scripted? Do they get more views? Probably. Yeah. So I feel like WWE could benefit from that with viewership, but at the same time, I know they need it. AEW needs it more than WWE, that's for sure. Yeah, for sure.
And honestly, casinos are going to lose serious money because if all the people that are going to be involved in it are strictly WWE fans, they're going to go out of business because we all have a preconceived notion of what's going to happen. Yeah. For example, never bet against Roman Reigns. They're going to throw $1,000, $10,000 on Roman. Roman retains. Well, we just got to pay out $10,000 here, left and right.
Here's the other piece of this is the adverse effect. So don't ever bet against Roman Reigns because we know he wins a lot. Does this affect the booking of the matches and being like, okay, everyone's going to bet on Roman to win this match. We're going to have him lose. So the house makes the money.
They easily could.
If it makes sense though, like for example, what's a feud? Or for example, when it was Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns, when they were feuding, I think it was 99.9% chance out of every single person, including Vince, would never ever book anybody besides Roman Reigns to win that match. If you had Finn Balor win that, Now, sure, you would please some of the people where you tip the scales on it, but you just ruined your whole creative plan down the line, like down the drain.
But
That's why.
So
they could be sneaky with it though, and have him lose by DQ, by
Yep.
count out, but not lose the title. They could
Very
protect
true.
him as a champion, but do it a sneaky way. That's the thing.
they could.
Yeah, I think it's. I personally am leaning. I would say, like, if I'm giving a percentage of how much I want it, I would say I would want it like 35%.
I think
And
it's bad for the business.
And 65% of me says don't do anything with it. So
yeah,
we'll see as it plays out. But it was interesting to hear that this week too.
yeah.
And then the final piece of news that we want to bring up quickly, we'll talk a little bit about AEW this week. But what jumped out at me quickly was the Bryan Danielson promo. Basically, hinting at him going home or, his struggles in the match. He just went through a 60-minute Iron Man match with the best and didn't come out on top. And it seems to be a similar theme. A lot of the stuff going on right now out in the wrestling is like, oh, is he going back to WWE? Is he like retiring? I don't think either of those things are true. I legitimately think he's just going to take a break and spend some time at home with his family. He's already said in the past too that this was his last full-time contract that he already signed. So my assumption is moving forward, he's going to be a part-time guy wherever he goes. That could be up for debate if he goes back to WWE. I don't think that's even going to happen either, especially for some of the comments he's made recently in some interviews. But it was a good promo. Obviously, it was a very heartfelt, very serious promo. So I really enjoyed it. But I don't see him retiring or going to WWE.
Yeah, I think he's staying right at AEW. He's going to take some time with his family and then probably return it like Forbidden Door or something. It's going to be very disappointing and upsetting when he does do part-time because I don't know how old he is. Maybe he's close to 40, but he looks better than ever. He didn't, like Chris mentioned on the last episode, he barely broke a sweat for that 65-minute match. Yeah. That guy can wrestle his ass off. He can go at any speed, and he knows only one way, and that's 100 miles an hour, and his body looks fine. Like he's not injury prone or anything that too often. I mean, obviously the concussions in the past, but as far as his AEW run, he only had one crazy injury that was probably on the ring up. I think it was a knee or leg injury that he had. Yeah. Other than that, he's been very durable, and he puts on classic after classic. So until then,
from someone that was already forced to retire.
Exactly. Right. Yep. But so overall, I think he stays with AEW just a couple times with his family and then get right back up.
First, I want to come out and apologize because watching last episode, I called him Daniel Bryan at least 5 times. The man is not Daniel Bryan anymore. He's Bryan Danielson. So I'm going to start with that.
Obviously, we are lifers, so I think we know a lot of these guys.
We all know. We all know what you meant.
So I'm going to say Bryan Danielson. He's not retiring. He's not going to WWE like Jeremy said. He's part-time now. And it's too bad because he's a guy who boosts ratings for AEW. And it's really shocking that, I mean, they want to lock up as many guys as they can, but it's very shocking that they would want to lock up one of their best guys on a part-time contract. And, that's a contract that he could go get in WWE, and that's a contract that WWE has a lot of guys under. They have a lot of part-timers. AEW does not have a lot of part-timers at all. He's probably the only one other than maybe Sting or Dustin Rhodes, some of the older guys. So it really is too bad, but, he definitely deserves the break. He, at one point, was never going to wrestle again. So, it's good to see him in the ring, and it's too bad that he's going back to a part-time schedule, but the guy deserves it.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think it's something that, we'll talk more about, but he definitely deserves to go out his own way. We'll see when that I don't know when his full-time contract is up. So when that's up, I'm sure he'll sign the part-timer, whether it's with WWE or AEW. But we'll see. It's something interesting. But I thought the promo was great.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears. So let's do our Raw review. Let's talk a little bit about Raw. So it was a great Raw this week. I would say good to great. There were some definitely great moments. The show kicked off. Kevin Owens started the show, and he had his match with Solo Sikoa. Pretty good match, good TV match. I thought it was really good. Disqualification win for Kevin Owens because Jimmy Uso came down and got involved, and it seems like the Bloodline story was going from there. And then Sami Zayn comes down, makes the save for Kevin Owens. One thing I'll say right off the bat, I'm obviously still so invested, but I'm loving how they are not letting Kevin Owens just join Sami right away. Like, they're definitely playing it off.
Yeah.
And they've played it off really well in a sense of, Sami's got to work for his friendship back, which I really appreciate. Because if they just threw it all away and just let them go together, I think that's really good. The slow burn for a few weeks, helps that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was a very solid match and kind of a predictable outcome. You knew that Jimmy or Jay was going to come out there, but Jimmy interfered, DQ. Sami comes out there, attacks zone, steel chair and everything. And like you mentioned, it's kind of similar to Dominic and Ray. Like, we were talking about how we think that Ray could possibly not lay a finger on Dominic until WrestleMania.
Yep.
I think Kevin Owens isn't even going to join Sami until probably like either the SmackDown before Mania or the Raw before Mania. Like, at the last minute thing where he's like, you know what? I've seen enough to get your trust, basically earn my trust back. Let's do this. Let's take out the Usos. So
Yeah.
I think I agree with how they're doing like a nice little slow, calculated approach on that.
The slow burn is what you need for something like this, because Kevin tried to warn Sami for months that this is not your family. They are going to turn on you. You need to turn on them first. And Sami never listened. So the fact that now Kevin isn't like giving in to Sami, it makes complete sense. And like you said, Sean, they could even have him decide to join him WrestleMania night.
Yeah.
They could possibly not even advertise a tag team match, and then a promo could be cut in the ring. Sami could be calling them out, and Kevin can be like, all right, let's do this. That would be cool too.
Yeah. kick off the show, the segment, and then announce the match for like the second, maybe night 2 or something. That'd be cool.
Sick.
Yeah, that's something to do. And then next was Bobby Lashley. So Bobby Lashley had a clip with Bray Wyatt. It seems like they're on a collision course, obviously, for WrestleMania. They haven't announced the match yet. Lashley cut a decent promo here. Nothing incredible, nothing great, but it was fine. And then we went to an interview with Carmella and Chelsea Green. A very interesting pairing there, and I think that's actually going to get over with the crowd in terms of the two heels. Chelsea Green's character is very interesting because they kind of brought her in as this Karen-type character. So I actually enjoy it. She's quite funny when she's on the screen. So, Adam Pearce is chasing them around, though. Who knows? Adam Pearce is a busy man when he's got people like Chelsea Green going on.
Yep.
That was cool. And I thought them working together, if they build a tag team, that's an organic way you could build a women's tag team, and instead of doing it like just throwing them together. Build some story and then go from there. The match was Bianca versus Carmella. So, okay match, nothing crazy. Bianca showed out. She won. And then they attacked. Basically, Chelsea Green and Carmella attacked Bianca in the ring. And Asuka came down. And, yet again, I think Sean's going to be upset with this just as much as I am.
I can see him, yep.
But it's, another week and another week of, I like Asuka in the ring, but she came down to the ring, basically stared, she misted Chelsea Green and Carmella, and then just sat there in the middle of the ring and stared at Bianca while the blue shit was still running down her mouth again. I need a little bit more out of this match to have it be, don't get me wrong, the WrestleMania match will be good inside the ring, but this build-up has done absolutely nothing for me. And I don't think it will, because I don't think they have the ability to do that with Asuka. Don't get me wrong, her character, I guess, is cool, but if you can't build a match, it's also, it sucks, it's, pun intended, sucks the blood from you. It sucks the life from you to try and figure it out. So, I don't know. Thoughts, guys?
So there's two negatives on this. So going to Chelsea Green and Carmella, I don't like the fact that they're already off on a losing streak at the expense of Bianca. Having Bianca and then prior week with Asuka facing Carmella Luke taking the L to her, and then the following week taking L to Bianca, and then Chelsea Green. I don't even think she's racked up a single win since her signing. And her quick elimination at the Royal Rumble, like, where are we going with this? Her only relevance at this point, like you said, the Karen character, is just going back and forth with that and Pierce. Now, it's hilarious. I'm tuned in. It's funny. But it's like, if you're trying to make them a serious, like, superstars, like, maybe whether it's a faction or just a tag team, you have to, maybe we get them against, Nikki Cross or somebody, then Nikki finds another tag partner, and then you start building from there. But as far as those two, they got to put them on a winning streak, because wins and losses do matter. I always preach that a lot. As far as Asuka and Bianca, this is the perfect case of, like, if you're a football coach and, like, say you have a napkin and you write a play down and then you just eat the napkin, that is exactly what this build has been. This has been an absolute abomination build. They have had the same exact thing 3 weeks. Come out there. Asuka shoots that blue shit out of her mouth. Bianca is stare down. You can't have WrestleMania without EST. Points at the WrestleMania sign. And then they go off the air, go to commercial. I've been preaching, and this is no disrespect to Asuka. If your English is limited, it is what it is. That's why in this scenario, you need to have a third person or a fourth person to make it a triple threat or a fatal four-way to help carry the build. So Asuka doesn't have to cut promos because she hasn't said anything. Maybe she said like a few words and that's it. But a promo and a build is verbal, like segments. So that's like what makes the storyline amazing. Edge and Balor, they're exchanging words. That's the excitement you get. Roman Reigns, Cody, we just saw their first verbal spar. Cena, Austin Theory, like some of the highlights that we've seen the past like week are like the verbal promos. And Asuka, Bianca, we're not getting that. The match is going to be incredible. They're both, like you said, Bianca can go, Asuka can go. But as far as the promo wise, it's just been a disappointment.
It sucks.
It's awful. I don't mind the mist. I'm not gonna lie. I don't care that she does that. Like, I liked that as a kid with Tajiri. So like,
for sure,
the fact that Asuka does it, I don't mind that. But promo work sets the foundation for how the match is gonna go at WrestleMania. That's what starts everything. Mm-hmm. You make it personal. That's what makes us invested in it. The match is gonna be great, but at the same time, I don't give a shit at the same time, to be honest, if I'm being frank with you guys. Like, I like Bianca and I like Asuka in the ring, but because there's no build, I don't care about this match at all. Yeah, and I know we're going to talk about it probably like very soon, but I also don't care about 2 of the 3 women's matches at WrestleMania right now. I don't care about the 6-woman tag match either. I don't care that Trish is back. I don't care that Lita's back. Those do nothing for me. And like I said, we're going to get to that, but God, you got to have some promo work to do something.
Yeah, so that was, it ended with Asuka in the ring and Bianca in the ring, and they're going to WrestleMania, so we know that. The next part was Sami Zayn, walking backstage. Kevin Owens is sitting there. He's kind of saying, what's going on? We need to do this together. Still the slow burn. Talking about another pay-per-view we were actually at was Survivor Series. And so War Games, reflecting back, and Owens was like, 8 months ago, or whatever, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, whatever you did this to me. This is what happened. This is why I'm not doing anything with you right now. So the drama continued. Sami Zayn had a lot of good points. Owens got the trust issues. It's coming, just not yet. We're looking forward to that. The next up was the face-off between Logan Paul and Seth Rollins to kind of, solidify this feud and solidify how good it's going to be in terms of the match. But any takeaways from this? Seth and Logan had some good pacing for each other. What I will say about this segment, and I'll say it probably every time he's in the ring, in terms of the heat that he gets, Logan Paul draws, just like Dominic Mysterio, draws an insane amount of heat for not doing too much. Like, he just has to be in the ring and people are going to boo the shit out of him. So, naturally, it's something that just comes easy to him. And obviously, I think Seth really won the exchange. And shout out, and I think we'll all shout it out, but Shout out to Boston, Massachusetts that hosted Raw this week. One of our hometown, hosting Raw this week, and they showed out in terms of, really, really coming out to represent for the superstars. And I thought that was super cool because Boston sometimes is a hit or miss. Usually we're in attendance. This year we skipped it just because we have a WrestleMania to pay for, but it was a great atmosphere, and you can't always say that for a Boston show. Like, I think they try. This one, they were hot from the moment it kicked off.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you look at these two, just their in-ring ability alone, Logan Paul, a lot of people were very skeptical about what he was going to do. Everyone kind of knew going in that he's an athlete. He like boxes, he has a wrestling background, but people were skeptical of, can he wrestle? Can he do WWE? And my God, every match he's been, he's probably had like 4 matches or so. He absolute banger each time. Seth Rollins, in my opinion, right now, I'm not sure how you guys feel. Maybe you agree, maybe not. But to me, he's the best wrestler in WWE right now, currently going. Promo-wise, this was excellent. They had nice jabs back and forth. I love that Miz was hosting this. Miz, I'm not a big Miz guy, but the credit I will give him is he's very entertaining. He's got one of the best mic skills. And when he does Miz TV, he kind of involves everybody, puts people over as far as when he has his guests on there. They get to go out there and speak their mind to the crowd. And Boston showed out tonight. Shout out to Boston. TD Garden, that was the loudest I've ever heard it. And Rollins' theme just echoing throughout there it made me so proud to see that, because like I've been to a lot of TD Garden shows, and not to say the crowd's dead, but it's lackluster compared to like Providence, like Dunkin' Donuts Center is probably my preference. But hearing the crowd in TD Garden, they did their thing, especially during that segment. So I was very impressed with it. Logan Paul ended up getting the upper edge on Rollins, and we're just a couple weeks away until that finally match delivers.
I think Miz hosting it was perfect because he has history with both guys. He has history with Logan, history with Seth, and we all know that Logan Paul is not going to win a verbal altercation with Seth Rollins. We just know that. But Logan Paul, he can talk. He has his own podcast. The dude has a chip on his shoulder, and I think he deserves to at this point, especially after his last match with Roman.
Yeah.
This match at WrestleMania, I think it could be one of the better in-ring matches both nights. Seth Rollins, I agree with you, Sean. I think he's the best wrestler in WWE right now in ring. And Logan Paul is an absolute athlete. He's in incredible shape. He can do some high-flying moves, and I think they're going to work really well together. I think this was a good segment. It was their first in-person segment where they both had a mic, which was good. I'm glad that they finally got that rolling, and I'm glad it was in Boston. That crowd was insane. And I kind of had a feeling that Logan was going to get the upper hand because I figured Miz would have something to do with it. So I kind of figured Logan was going to get the upper hand there. But I thought it was a good segment. I'm glad he hit a stomp. I thought that was cool. So,
very much
I mean,
so.
we'll see what happens next week.
For sure.
Hit the knockout punch.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yep.
The next part of Raw we can breeze over quickly. Poor Dolph Ziggler had a one-on-one with Omos. Omos went down to the ring with MVP. It was a squash match. Dolph Ziggler goes down to Omos, someone who I think usually, and Sean mentioned this before we hopped on, but I'm a big Ziggler guy, but always seems to get the shit into the stick. So that was a quick match. And then next, backstage was the Maximum Male Models. Next to free. They were doing with compliments. They were backstage. Baron Corbin walked up to them, and it was actually Otis and Gable that were doing,
Otis.
of course.
That is
Otis.
Otis.
Doing some
Otis.
poses. And then basically Maxine told Corbin to handle Gable, and maybe Corbin will get in on the Maximum Male Models. Who the fuck knows what's going on with Baron Corbin? So that was the backstage segment. Nothing crazy there. And then Finn Balor came down to the ring, and it was time for Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano, which was a very, very good TV match. And I thought, in terms of being able to have that match again. I thought Balor Gargano too. They advertised on Twitter was super super cool, and they have history back in NXT together. All in all, that was a great match. Thoughts on that, guys? And the right winner, which I thought was really cool. Balor didn't necessarily need to win this match. Still looked strong because it was Edge interfering, kind of. So, playing it out. But Johnny Gargano picks up a win, which was nice. Nice to see.
Yeah, Gargano landed one final break at the very end. I like also, I'm not sure how you guys feel, but I love that they're bringing back the fact that when Edge, his music played, the first reaction of Judgment Day was to kind of get out of the ring and go up the ramp, and then Edge sneaking from behind. I love that. They used to do that a lot back in the day during Ruthless Aggression era. I love that they brought that back, so Edge had a nice clean spear on Balor without them even noticing. Literally, it took Edge left the ring, and then Rhea and Priest finally turned around and noticed Edge gone. But that match was what you'd expect it to be, classic with both of them. Johnny Gargano, top 3 wrestler in the company, Finn Balor up there as well. Back and forth with them it's what you're going to get. The high flying maneuvers, what they do, coup de grace, their movesets are just insane what they do. So those two guys I can watch on any given night, any pay-per-view, any time. It does not matter. And I love that they're really getting going with the builds with Edge and Balor. And we're probably going to get that announcement probably as early as next Raw. Yep. And maybe hoping it's a cell match.
Very, very good booking for that match. I was happy when they announced it was going to be Gargano and Balor, just because we saw the first time. It was a great match in NXT. Now they had a good match on a Monday Night Raw. Like Sean said, the music hit. Priest and Rhea had no clue what was going on behind them. And then Johnny Gargano picks up the win. Priest and Rhea turn around. They're so confused. The looks on their faces were priceless. They see Edge hightailing away. And then, Edge cut a backstage segment right after, pretty much, saying, I'm going to be in the middle of that ring next week. We're going to settle this. And so I'm excited.
Alone. He said he would
alone.
So
I
and
he
said, if you got the stones, you'll meet me there next week.
Exactly.
So I'm very excited for that. I can't wait for that.
Yeah. So I do think we get that announcement of the match next week, and I do hope it is a Hell in a Cell match. It makes sense for the feud. Mm-hmm. This is the last match that they need, the blow-off match. And if it's Brood Edge against Demon Balor, that'll be great. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Thank you, wrestling gods, if that happens.
That'd be awesome.
Thank you, JBL.
JBL. No, I don't mean JBL.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah. The next segment was another match. Was Piper Niven against Nikki Cross. Another forgettable thing for me, but Piper Niven picks up the win. It was an easy win, and Nikki Cross goes down. After that was a backstage segment with Rick Boogs trying to lift the truck, and Elias was backstage with him, basically, chatting with him, asking him what he's doing, and then he was talking to him, and he was looking at Lashley. Elias took the fight to Lashley last week, but Elias basically told Boogs to challenge Bronson Reed, and Boogs went over there basically and was like, "Oh, Elias wants to fight you," and then Bronson Reed comes over. He's like, "You want to fight me? You got it next week." And Elias is like, "I got to tell you how to do things," so that was a funny bit backstage with Elias, but that's also someone that's never been able to, find his footing. I think he had a great gimmick with his concerts and things like that, but in terms of getting he hasn't had a good story for a while.
He's one of the guys that was reported that had a gripe over Triple H's booking for short WrestleMania, and this is the reason why. Now, obviously, not his fault. It's at the end of the day, you're doing what you're told, what creative is booking you, but
very much so.
He's not capturing an audience like he would what a normal WWE wrestler would. Playing a guitar in the concert, that can only get you so far.
Yeah.
Something I want to mention about this segment, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I saw it on Twitter.
I know
was Cody and Kevin Owens.
Yeah,
behind
Cody and
them.
Kevin Owens were in the background.
Yeah.
Yep,
I thought that was
I
very
saw
cool.
that.
Very
cool.
cool. So
Cody
and
trying to
that'll-
talk some sense into him.
Yeah, that'll
Yeah, tell him to
that'll
team up with
play
them. Yep.
week.
Yep.
Because in the main event, and we'll talk about it when we get there, but Cody came out, but it wasn't Kevin Owens, so I thought that was pretty surprising.
Yep.
Next was what everyone was probably in attendance for, at least a lot of the people, was John Cena. John Cena coming back and crying at the head of the stage, even though he was just there, a couple months ago. But hey, he can get emotional whenever he wants. He deserves it at this point, right? The segment was great between him and Theory. A lot of people are saying that he's slaying Theory and he crushed him on the mic. Sean and I agreed about this. I don't know what Chris said, but I don't think he killed him necessarily on the mic either. Because I thought Theory, stood his own, and, I think there's more to come. Do I think Cena probably has the edge right now? Sure. But I think contextually there was also some holes in some of Cena's arguments. So I didn't necessarily love some of the stuff that he said. But, hey, fine. If Cena's also going to be on Raw every week for the next 3 weeks, that's a little bit better for me. If they don't have much more in store for Cena actually being there, that's a little disappointing that we already have the match and that's basically the booking because they need a little bit more than that. But it was still entertaining.
Yeah, picking up where you left off, Theory did not get slayed that a lot of people on the wrestling community were saying. Theory had some good jabs, like the bald spot on Cena. Cena had some good jabs too. He had some great lines, but the one obviously that wasn't believable, but it was probably the best line of the night that was notable was, I may be bald, but at least I don't have pumped in fake crowd noise that plays over me because I'm born or something like that. I thought that line, it's not believable, but it was a good line. It got attention, especially in your hometown of Boston. Like, it's going to go over. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, it's John Cena. You're not going to beat John Cena in a verbal war. You're just not. Even The Rock, I felt like The Rock even lost to John Cena during their promos. So you knew what was going to happen. This is no 2017 Roman Reigns, John Cena. This is nothing like that. Theory held his own. And Theory has a lot of John Cena in him, vice versa. Like, he's a younger version of John Cena in certain elements. And we'll talk about this later down the line, but I'm probably sure you guys saw that Theory is Cena's very big on Theory. Like, outside, after the segment, apparently, like, Cena is big on Theory. He thinks he's going to be, like, one of the pillars of the company that can take him to the promised land down the line. So I thought it was an excellent segment, probably my favorite thing of the night. But yeah, we'll go from here.
I also thought it was like really cool how like once Cena got into the ring, Theory's music hit and he came out right away. He wasn't wasting any time, which I thought was very cool. I've never seen John Cena get so emotional when he came out and heard that crowd. Never seen him like that, which I thought was very cool to see because we don't see that side of him. I also don't think he destroyed Theory on the mic like everybody said. I agree with you guys on that. I like the line when he said, "You got nothing up here, nothing here," and then smacked him right in the nuts. I thought that was hilarious.
That was funny.
You're right, Sean. No one's going to beat John Cena on the mic. But Austin Theory held his own. And I said this to you guys the other day, that the one line that didn't really make sense to me was the ruthless aggression line, John Cena saying Austin Theory is in that ruthless aggression stage right now. Because at this point in Austin Theory's career, he's technically been more successful than John Cena at that point in his career. He's won the U.S. title a few times. He's a Money in the Bank winner. He's actually accomplished quite a bit. Yeah. So that line, wasn't a fan of it. John Cena still won the promo. I hope we get Cena weekly until WrestleMania, even if it's 2 weeks from now. Just I want to see him two more times before WrestleMania. But I was happy with it.
The other thing, so you said about Cena getting emotional. What was going around Twitter was, at the end of this, Cody Rhodes, he did the passing of the torch moment with Cody Rhodes, so it seemed on the stage. A lot of people are speculating that he said Cody mentioned to him he wants to be in a match with him, and I think Cena's response was, "I don't have too many left." So I don't know. Maybe Cena's low key gonna be like Brock Lesnar and calling it quits in the next couple of years. Yeah. If he has a couple more matches left in him, similar to Edge. I think Edge probably doesn't have too many left. We'll see. But I think Cena's one of those guys now where you can say, how many does he really have left in terms of his schedule and all that stuff.
And I think for Cena, he's very similar to The Rock in this aspect. I feel like for Cena to want to come out and work, he needs to be motivated. He needs to find somebody, like, if there's someone that he's willing to work with and thinks that, this is going to work, he'll do it. But like Austin Theory, I think Cena sees a lot of himself in Theory, like on the come up during his age. And I think he's going to be doing that. I think he looks at Cody as that guy. So I do think we're going to get that down the line at some point. I don't know how many Cena has left in him as far as like ages. He's probably 45-ish or so right now. I don't know. Can he still go at like 50 years old? Maybe. But who knows? I'm excited for it. I would love to see that build. I would also like to see Cena go heel during that Cody Rhodes run if they do go that route. But most likely it's probably going to be the other way around. Cody's a good heel as well, but that's something that I would love to see if that indeed was a conversation they had.
And then, so the next segment was backstage with Sami Zayn again, talking about Kevin Owens. He was right to be, mad about the things in the past, and he issued the warning to Jimmy Uso for later on in the night. And then Chad Gable came out, had his match with Baron Corbin. Chad Gable wins, and it was a rare win for Chad Gable, to be honest. He doesn't win a lot on TV, but he has fantastic matches, so it's nice to see him pick up a win.
The thing is, Baron Corbin loses a lot. So that's why he got the win.
Yeah, that's very true as well. So we
feel so bad for Corbin. It's not fair
against each other, but it was nice to see Gable get a win because he is very good. Corbin really isn't that bad either. I think people hate on him too much. Like, we love his moveset, and we think you can do a lot there with it. The next
he's gonna repackage and go to Lone Wolf.
Yeah. The next piece was they did another parody promo, which was very cool. Miz and Maurice did Top Gun, so I thought that was hilarious and very perfect for them, to be honest. Basically, after that, they had the graphic come up and basically confirm Seth versus Logan at WrestleMania, which is basically confirmed after their promo. Then Damage Control and Becky Lynch and Lita came out with Trish. They had some verbal exchanges. The one thing here I thought was interesting was Bayley basically took control and said, let's have a match at WrestleMania. And, she said yes. And, you can see Dakota Kai and Io Sky be like, what the hell? Like, are we sure we really want to do this? So it set up the trios match for WrestleMania. Like Chris said earlier, it'll be fine. Like, I think it'll be what it'll be, and I'll be fine with it. It's not something I'm necessarily looking forward to and going home about, but whatever. I get to see Becky Lynch. I get to see Lita and Trish probably for the last time potentially at WrestleMania. I'm fine with it. It's just something that's going to be on, but like Chris said, I'm not sure. 2 of the 3 women's matches I'm not that excited for, but hey, to each its own, right?
Yeah. Now, where does Becky go from there afterwards? Whether it's a win or a loss, does she go back in the title hunt, or did she go into the tag team route, kind of what Ronda Rousey's doing with Shayna Baszler?
Because Lita will probably stick around for a little while because you got the tag belt. So now you got to either strip it from him or find a way to drop it.
That's one of the things I'm thinking about. I could honestly see them dropping the belts immediately because of that reason, because a lot of criticism happened with Lita as far as her in-ring, and as expected, she's older. So when you're old, you're not going to be what you once were. So that match is going to be very intriguing when we do our pick'ems. We're probably going to put a low number on that one. At least I am, because that one, I don't know what they're going to do for the booking on that one. Oh, it's going to be okay. Get to see Trish. I love Trish. She was one of my favorites. Lita as well. Doesn't really do anything for me as far as the quality of the promos and what it means, but it's cool though. 2 legends I get to see as part of WrestleMania, so I guess it's okay.
I think I'm just more along the lines of not caring because in my head this whole time I wanted to see Shayna and Ronda versus Becky and Lita in a tag match, and I kind of wanted to see Ronda and Shayna take those tag titles because I think they're a legit tag team too.
They could be the ones to take them on.
There's still a chance. I think they can actually get inserted into this match, honestly. Even though Ronda's dealing with a nagging injury, like a real-life one, but reportedly that they said that she will be back in time for WrestleMania, and I'm 100% sure because she's tough as nails. I think they're going to be inserted into that match late, and they're going to get the titles.
Match,
it's not for the titles.
It's not for the titles. Yeah, it's just a trios match.
I can honestly see them like booking something last minute where they can just swap it back to like Trish and Bayley as a singles, and then
they made it seem like that's what they were going to do.
Yeah.
Like when Trish was like,
so
I wanted Bayley. Like I thought they were going to announce a singles match for that.
Exactly. So I can honestly see Damage Control going in there demanding a rematch, and with Lita and Becky, and then Shayna and Ronda get inserted in a triple threat tag, and they walk away with the belts. But who knows? We got 3 weeks left, so only so much time left.
If not, I think that could be a backlash match. Is Becky and Lita against Ronda and Shayna, as long as she's ready.
Yep.
So that could be it. The last match was the main event. So Sami Zayn against Jimmy Uso. So another good TV match, and Jimmy did really well in this match too. You know, Sammy's a very good wrestler, but Jimmy, I thought, showed out in certain points of this match. Not to say he's a bad wrestler, but of the Usos, he's probably one of the weaker. But man, that match itself was very, very good. So I thought that was very entertaining. You know, we knew who was getting involved in this one, right? So we knew Jey Uso was just around the block or just in the crowd. So it seems. So Jey Uso was shown in the latter half of the match, coming down out of the crowd, and you know, it really set up for something that was really great. Sami Zayn got the win in this match, which got the sneak win. You know, got under him, so I thought that was cool. But the real story, obviously, is what happened after the match. You know, Jey Uso comes down to the ring, has the emotional moment in the ring with Jimmy. You know, the acting going on with Jey, you know, really selling it, you know, hands on his shoulders, like they were thinking about it for so long. Jey leaves the ring and, you know, basically goes over to Sami and says, "I choose you." We got all knew it was the blood was in the water. You could just smell it right off of Jey Uso. But even though and obviously we know what happened. All you wrestling fans know what happened. Jey Uso does the swerve on Sami Zayn, great super kick, and then they beat him up in the ring. And Cody comes down for the save. The one thing, though, about this segment, and I've seen a lot, what makes this so good, I don't give a shit that was the most predictable thing ever. You still saw so many people being so invested in this moment when you knew this was what was gonna happen. It was just all about the timing. When was it going to happen? And I thought they did a fantastic job. Again, shout out to Boston. They won on this night because they had a great Raw and they had a great ending to this match and to this, you know, pushing this storyline forward. They did a really good job this Raw of aggressively pushing forward storylines. And for me, what a finish. Sami Zayn in the ring at the end, getting beaten up. Cody Rhodes comes down to make the save. One thing that I will say about Cody coming down, I didn't necessarily love it. The only reason I'll say I didn't love it is because Cody's beef is really with Roman. It's not with the bloodline. So I wasn't too... You know, we'll see what happens, too, because Cody is probably interwoven into this story now, right? With Owens. You saw him in the back with Owens. But, you know, I would have been fine with just Sammy being beaten up and then no one coming out. And next week, maybe Owens, you know, something happens with Owens and they start to form this bond again and they build from there. But I wasn't a huge fan of Cody Rhodes coming out. I don't think they were a lot of people are saying they force feeding Cody down our throat. I don't necessarily think it's that either. But I would have liked to see something different, like just Sammy getting beaten up, and that was kind of the end to the episode.
Yeah, I was about to mention that point, that Cody going down there definitely did take away from the story, especially with like Roman, because it sounds like you said his beef is with Roman, and also the fact that if you look at it, it's tough too, because we were talking about how he wanted to be a slow cooking with the KO and Sammy reunited. So it's like, did they really have a choice to throw Cody out there if they had someone save him? Like, he was the only option. It's like, you can't do John Cena because Cena has nothing to do with this.
Very true.
So I would have gone the route that you said, just have Sammy take a hectic beatdown with the Bloodline minus Roman, and then just go off the air. And then what I want is the last week, then KO finally says, you know what, we'll do this together. So that was one of those situations where it's like they had no choice but to throw Cody out there and obviously give him some extra TV time. Match overall was excellent. And as soon as Jay came out there, you knew what was coming, even though I would have booked it to be around the same time. So I would have honestly booked it probably a week before I would want KO to reunite with him. So have Jay super kick him probably within the next week or two. And then the following Raw or SmackDown, then have KO rejoin. That would have been my ideal booking. But either way, we came down to the ultimate conclusion, though. This is where the bloodline ends, and now we get to finally kick off. We know that Jay Uso this is family shit.
Yeah.
You know where he stands.
He was afraid of Papa Roman.
Yeah, he said it right in front of a bunch of kids too. If you noticed.
Oh my God! Yes, he honestly had those little kids right next to him. He's like, "This is family shit, man."
You thought I was gonna choose you? What's wrong with you?
It's not a family-friendly show anymore.
No, it's not. Now when Jay,
Nope.
Not that PG era anymore.
In there.
It's
yeah.
like,
So I'll let Chris take off. Yeah, take over, Chris.
I was gonna say, like, it's interesting how overshadowed it is, how much better Jay is than Jimmy, but in reality, like, Jimmy can really hold his own too.
For sure.
Jay's been great for the past 3 years, but we haven't really got to see Jimmy by himself.
Yeah,
and he's very good too.
Yeah,
they're twins for a reason.
He is.
And we got, the super kick to Sammy, which is what we've all been expecting. And something else that's interesting is we don't get a lot of moments like that on Raw or SmackDown anymore.
Very true.
We don't.
Agreed.
Those are always kept for pay-per-views.
Yep.
So I'm so happy that we got a Raw moment, and that's going to go down in history as one of the greatest Raw moments, I think. And
yeah, maybe sour. I wasn't there.
I know we might.
I know.
That in 2 or 3 years. But also, the Cody thing. Cody and Sammy do have a mutual respect for each other, but at the same time, 2 or 3 weeks ago, Cody was saying, "I want you at WrestleMania."
Yeah.
And now he's coming out to save him. And I understand Cody's probably the biggest baby face in WWE right now, but I don't love it either. Right. I don't love it either. Like you said, his beef is with Roman. He wants that championship. He doesn't need to come out and save Sami Zayn in that moment. I don't know what that does for him. Maybe at Backlash, you have a 6-man tag with Cody, Sammy, and Kevin versus Roman and the Usos, winner take all for the titles.
Oh wow!
There was another thing I also want to. There's also that would be awesome. There's also one thing I also want to mention. What they could have also done that I would have enjoyed. So having Cody come out there to save him, play that same route. Have Roman sneak up from behind, Superman punch Cody, spear him, and leave Cody at the end of the day with the bloodline on top. That's would have been really cool, because then we would have gotten the physical aspect of Roman and Cody. So now we know it's all right. Now it's personal. Now we got the physicality aspect of it. That would have been my ideal booking if you had to have Cody come out there, but hopefully maybe on SmackDown.
Reigns needs to be on every show.
Right.
Agreed.
The other piece of this is, and it's always the debate now between what Chris said, who's the biggest face, it's Cody or Sammy. I also think right now they also have an embarrassment of riches, right? So don't shit on that and think it's too much of a big deal. The fans are still behind Cody and the fans are still behind Sammy. Just do your best to try and ride that as long as you can. Because if you can get that past WrestleMania and still have the fans behind these people, you can still have good runs for these people, whether they're fighting for the title or not. Sammy could go on a great face run, and obviously if he's with Owens, they'll have a great tag team run. Because tag teams especially, the Usos are on a hell of a run right now. But how do you follow that up? How do you keep the fans involved in the tag team? And even the Usos don't really defend the titles a whole ton of times. Right. So to have them, fighting a lot and having a great story, I think it'd be awesome. And if you wanted to, if it really comes down to it, you have Owens break from Sammy, and he's the heel, and he can break them up, and then they lose the tag titles. And then you have that feud for a little while between Kevin Owens and Sammy. I know it happened before, but you could have that feud. You could also, here's another thing, you could play this out and have that feud as your title match for next year at WrestleMania if you really wanted to. That could be a title match or a
Yep.
SummerSlam or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, you could really play it out a long time. So don't, you know, I always caution people, especially now, do not shit on something that's so good. Like,
Right.
you have two great baby faces right now in the company. So ride that as long as you can and do your best to preserve that. Because it's not like it happens all the time. Yes, people are over,
Right.
but the amount of over that both of them are is quite incredible. Everyone thought they were going to clash and it was going to make people hate Cody. That's not the case.
No.
Yeah, at the end of the day, though, like either side is going to go home disappointed and happy, whether you're more pro Cody or more pro Sammy. If you did a triple threat, one of you is going to go home upset because at the end of the day, though, one of them is going to win the belt. So you can't have both go in there and win championship belts. Like, it's just not going to happen. And as far as like the long-term storyline, I was seeing a lot of reports that like once post WrestleMania, there were talks of Jey Uso going on a singles run against Roman. I saw even some Solo Sikoa against Roman. So we're probably going to see that bloodline split up and just mold very, very quickly. And you'll probably see a lot of development between each guy. And we're going to see the confidence level Triple H has in maybe Jimmy Uso. I mean, I don't see Jimmy and Jey splitting or going in singles run. I think they're going to continue to tag team run, which is what their bread and butter is. That's what they excel at. But don't be surprised if you see Solo go on a singles run soon. And whether you have a manager, like kind of be a spokesman, whether Paul Heyman.
They're very high on him. Their main event. They think he could be a main eventer. So who knows?
I wouldn't go that far, but I think, yeah, for me, he would be a good like intercontinental, like United States champion. That would be my route for him. I don't think he's main event worthy, just because of the fact that he's not a promo guy. He doesn't cut promos, and I feel like you have to have that aspect to be a main event star. But we'll see where they go from there with that.
I think they compare him to Umaga. So Umaga, won a championship.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
True.
Yeah, I think this is something that, Raw really delivered this week. And I thought they really pushed forward storylines and did a really good job with building that. This Friday. So when you watch this, it'll actually be tonight. But SmackDown will get another Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns interaction, I'm sure. And we'll get more
Let's
of
get
the
physical.
Sammy. Yeah,
they gotta get physical
Yep.
this time. Come on.
So we'll see how it goes. I thought
Exactly.
their promo last week was very good, so they can only build on from there. But we're looking forward to SmackDown. Some other things will happen. The 5-way match, the number one contender for the Intercontinental title, will be on the card. So it'll be interesting to see how they play it out. I hope it's, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus somehow. They both end up in this match, so we want it to be a triple threat, so that would be cool. But yeah, SmackDown should be a good show. But all in all, great Raw, great week of wrestling. We'll look forward to more. Our next episode will be next week. We'll do a little bit of a SmackDown review. We'll have part 3 of trivia, and Sean will be coming up with, we'll do kind of part 2 of the About Me section of wrestling. So we'll do some more questions and get you some more interesting facts about us in terms of wrestling. In the future, we'll be partnering with some other podcasts, so we'll have some people on to do some reviews. You talk AEW. We'll be talking a lot of different things, and we'll have some guests. So some exciting things to come here. But thank you all for listening. We appreciate you. We appreciate your viewership. Follow us on social media, and we're looking forward to WrestleMania. We're out. Have a good one.